Rashid, you have been spared the task of giving your honest views on this record, but we will find something else that I'm sure will meet with your approval. I'm thinking maybe a T'Pau record would be the way to go. Cheers, Rashid. Running commentary. We are exploring listening to albums. It is a lost art form. Lisa Stansfield, Affection. Lisa Stansfield sprung to prominence in 1989 when she scored a hit with Cold Cut singing People Hold On. This was a club hit. Lisa Stansfield really came up through the club scene. She was a voice on the club scene that really attracted people when you were dancing with the house music. She had a great little image too. This little black cropped hair and a little kiss curl, bright red lipstick, very distinct image. And a voice which really was an homage to her heroes, her mother's heroes, the Supremes, and she had a lot of time for people like Barry White. So there was an R&B sensibility to Lisa Stansfield which carried through to her material. At the time, her voice was truly groundbreaking. It really signaled a sort of crossover style that had not been heard up until that point. I mean, you could say Alison Moyet in some ways, but I don't think Alison Moyet was ever going for the R&B sound. It was just that she had this big voice. But, you know, as we know, Alison Moyet was coming from more of a punk perspective, whereas Lisa Stansfield was definitely approaching her music from an R&B sensibility. Lisa Stansfield co-wrote all of the songs with her longtime partner Ian Devaney and Andy Morris. Prior to that, they'd been in a group called Blue Zone. And when Cold Cut had the hit with People Hold On, the guys decided to step back and let Lisa shine as a solo artist. It was released on Arista Records. It sold 5 million copies worldwide. And Lisa Stansfield won the British Breakthrough Brit Award. This Is the Right Time followed up People Hold On. It was also with Cold Cut, who agreed to put this song on this album. People Hold On's not on this album, but it made sense that Cold Cut made another record to follow up on that initial club hit. This was another club hit, very sort of like these Pet Shop Boys style 3 chords, the house thing that was going on at that time, and it did really well for her, very well produced, and, you know, not much else to say about it. I actually prefer People Hold On, but This Is the Right Time is good. It's a good way, it's a good segue in these strings here. You hear those, like, immediately. A Mighty Love is noticeable for that classic late 80s crossover bass line and signature big 70s string lines. Her vocal style was a trademark, as I've said, of the early 90s. There are times now when it sounds peculiar and affected, but at the time, it was truly groundbreaking. Lisa Stansfield is a fellow Aries. She was born in 1966. She was born in Manchester, although I always think of her being from Rochdale. When I lived in Manchester and Lisa Stansfield was successful, everyone talked about our kid from Rochdale, and that's where her mother certainly lives. And as I've said, her idols were Barry White and Marvin Gaye, and her mum's favourite was Diana Ross and the Supremes, whom she admitted was also an influence. Sincerity. I can't lie. I smooched on many a sofa to this song. My attachment to it, therefore, is to a younger version of myself. A younger, more desirable version of myself. Suddenly I'm retasting Peach Canai and Tenant Supreme if it was a rougher conquest. Lisa Stansfield was very conducive to interracial relations. The Love in Me reconnects with that Cold Cut sensibility. Usually by this point, your shirt and trousers were in a pile by the coffee table. If indeed they had a coffee table. This was latter years Thatcher England. So you were lucky if the poll tax collector hadn't repossessed most of your worldly goods. I'm not talking that much about the music. I don't know, it's part of me. I can't betray Lisa Stansfield on so many levels. If I'm honest, I think she was a really cool alternative to Kylie Minogue and Madonna. All Around the World is the destination single on this album. It was sampled by Biggie Smalls and Puff Daddy's album, which gave it, further longevity. Been Around the World and I Can't Find My Baby. It stands head and shoulders above the majority of the album. It was impossible to follow it up. I believe it remains intact as a respected 1980s number one. The strings on this were superbly arranged. The video made a lot of sense. It was a good, solid number one record from 1989. A little more background, Lisa Stansfield had won the Search for a Star competition in 1980 as a young teen, and she'd had appearances up until this point on various TV shows, including Razzmatazz. You know, and as I said about Blue Zone with Ian and Andy, they'd enjoyed some minor hits as Blue Zone, but decided to focus on Lisa's solo career once People Hold On had become a hit. What Did I Do to You? Immediate purchase. I heard this, I'm like, went straight and bought this. This is a great song. I love the super effective lower register string hookers. Very, very, very good. It sounds like an express train. That sample, that's really great string writing. And strings on this album are really, very key to the overall sound. It's a catchy pop hit, which should have been a bigger hit than number 25. You know, I mean, honestly, I think she should have followed up all around the world with this. I really do. I would have switched this out with Live Together, which is the next track on the album. I never liked Live Together. I don't know why. I just thought it kind of sucked. I thought it was like, oh, okay. It was like, it almost had a sort of swagger to it. It's like, oh yeah, we've just had a number one and this is the follow-up and we're great now. We're all good in the hood and it's all taken care of. No. You should be continuing to build on that momentum, and I think that this track as a follow-up was a mistake. The strings on the bridge of this song, really, again, the strings cannot be faulted on this whole album. Whoever was doing the string programming, really fantastic job. It wasn't able to deliver a 1-2 punch. You know, I always think if you have a huge number one, you gotta have the follow-up ready. You've gotta know what that follow-up song's gonna be. And Live Together sort of fizzled at number 10. So, yeah, not my favorite. You can't deny it, at this point in the album, the material's starting to become a bit tiresome. You know, I'm starting to think, oh, okay. And, you know, and you think, you're like, yeah, well, usually by this point I would have been asleep or, you know, gone to the fridge and had a sandwich or whatever it was, because this was the sort of album that it was. It was a hookup album. This was the album that you kind of got down to with whoever you'd picked up at the club that week, you know. Poison is the next track. It injects some much-needed life into the second half of the album. It's catchy enough to engage the ear and score some points towards the overall score. Ian Devaney, as we've mentioned, is a husband of 25 years. I wonder if their intimacy helped the personal feel of this record. But I also think that as we sort of move further into the album, that they kind of got so lost in each other that we were sort of shut out of the experience. And now they're no longer, you know, it's like, okay, baby, everything you're doing's great. I mean, I don't know what we're doing now. Like, it feels very, okay, that sounds just like the last song. We're back into familiar territory with When Are You Coming Back? No booze, your lover's gone, you're fully dressed and sober. The first instinct is to turn the album off. You know, this is track 10, there are 3 more to go. Wish me luck. Lisa's image worked well for this first album. Beauty spot and a Caesar-style haircut with a kiss curl. Applejack hats and all-black mood photography. Definitely great image working. Affection is the title track, and it starts now with this annoying drum machine and flute sequence. They've used it on about 3 or 4 other tracks. Affection is so similar to other tracks on the album that at this point I'm checking back to see how this differs from our other songs on the album. There's 2 more to go. There's no lyrical content to interest the mind. I do like the little upward chirrup instrumentation on the bridge, but you know, that's not enough to salvage these songs now becoming really quite irritating and annoying. Wake Up Baby is the next track. Lisa, I'm trying to wake up, I really am. We're all out of ideas by this point in the album, and it's a shame because there are some real high points earlier on. People Hold On should have gone on to this album and then take off 4 tracks which are filler, this being one of them. The Way You Want It, you know, the intro rhythm is good, but here we go again with the flute accent. There's a programmed faux Bootsy Collins bass line and swing rhythm which can't rescue the album's slide into mediocrity. A little more club sensibility would have cured all of this album's boredom factor. But Lisa Stansfield, regardless of this album, is one of my favorite pop personalities from that era. So, separating Lisa Stansfield from the mark on this album, Lisa, I love you, I really do. I think you're a wonderful artist. But by the time this album is over and done with, we award Lisa Stansfield Affection 62%. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, recommend it to friends, post comments. Also, if you have an album that you'd like to hear reviewed, we welcome your requests.